Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Apollo to build high-quality lead lists without overspending on their credits and without spending hours manually scraping lead lists for your outbound campaigns. So for a bit of context, I've been using Apollo for around 3 years now. I scraped 400K of people, like 500,000 companies, essentially, and this allowed us to send over 1 million cold emails, thousands of LinkedIn outreach messages, and book around 800 meetings specifically with Apollo data. So there are several things I wish I knew when I was starting out, basically, that would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of resources, and hopefully in this video, I will give you those tips. So when you start building lists for your outreach campaigns, you can do it the right way and not waste a lot of time and resources on irrelevant things. So I'm just gonna jump straight into this. So first of all, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Apollo is, in short, it's Apollo.io is like a sales engagement platform that allows you to do multiple things. Mainly, it has its lead database, which has 231 million people, 31.8 million companies. It also has basically their sequencer, their workflow builder. You can send emails through Apollo. You can have recorded conversations. You have meetings. You have tasks, workflows, all that stuff. Now, Apollo is cool, but specifically what we are using this for is their lead database. The other features, I'm sure they're great, but I use other tools because they're just better from my experience, and maybe I'll cover them in a separate video. But in terms of lead database, this is actually our primary source for a couple of reasons here. So first of all, if you tried finding leads basically for your outreach campaigns, you probably used things like Sales Navigator. You probably tried basically finding data on LinkedIn or basically manually scraping, maybe even tried some advanced tools like Zoom Info, Clay, and all that stuff. What I like about Apollo is, first of all, as I said, their coverage. So they have 231 million people here, which is quite a big list. It also is very user-friendly in terms of interface here and how easy it is to build lists. So for example, if you would try to do the same in Sales Navigator, and maybe people that use primarily Sales Navigator would hate me for this, but the truth is Apollo is so much easier to use. And I tried both. I tried multiple tools, and the filters that I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, they're just super easy to use. And lastly, what I would say is the fact that Apollo allows us basically to differentiate between the total leads, the net new leads, essentially that we haven't scraped yet, and the saved people and companies basically that we have generated also is a big differentiator, because a lot of companies, they simply do not allow you to do this. You have to pay for the same data twice. So without further ado, how I want to structure this video is I want to first walk you through the main filters we use and the filters that I believe would be most helpful for you. Then we're going to get into a couple of examples. First of all, an example of how to build simple lead lists. Basically, if you have big total addressable market and they're easy to find, and then how to build more narrow targeted lead lists, more advanced ones. For example, you're targeting B2B SaaS companies, or you're targeting D2C e-commerce brands that are on Shopify, like something that is more niche, more narrow, or you're targeting a specific enterprise that uses, I don't know, Jira. And very specific roles. Now, those will be harder to find, but I'm going to show you what you can do with this. So let's jump straight into this. And by the way, what I recommend you do, Apollo has a couple of plans here. What I recommend you do is just go here, sign up at least for their free plan, and just follow along this video. You'll find the link and other resources below this video. Just sign up so you can follow along the instructions, test the filters, and essentially start creating a lead list for your ICP for free for your target customers. Cool. So the first thing I want to show you here is actually the companies filter, because I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you are B2B. If you're targeting B2C, Apollo is not for you. You can close this video and find another way to get consumers. So, but if you're B2B, if you're targeting other businesses, this is for you. And the first thing you want to identify is what kind of companies are we going after? I want to start with companies, and then we're going to go into people, because a lot of the same filters they apply. The main difference is people would have just different roles, and we can select basically what is the email quality we want to export here. Cool. So there are multiple filters here. I'm actually going to show more filters to just give you a sense of what we can filter by. You can see like they have some more advanced ones. Like, for example, you can import the CSV and like of your target customers. Let's say that you have only a list of domain names. You can import that or just drop it here, and it will find the companies and then enrich that information. You can find companies that have retail locations, specific languages that were founded in a specific year, headcount, growth, employees by department, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm going to start by showing you the actual filters we use from the start. And we're going to go from there. So the first thing you want to determine is basically, let's say we are targeting marketing agencies, and so we're targeting marketing agencies, and we're targeting marketing agencies in the US. So we go to account location, select US here, and we can see like we have 1.2 million total results. Now, we don't want to target everyone, we probably want a specific type of marketing agency. And so we have account location, and then we actually, I forgot to put in the filter, so we're gonna have to do it now. So let's go marketing. So these are all the companies in the US that are in the marketing and advertising industry, and so we have 232.9K. Cool. Now, it doesn't mean they're agencies. They're just in this location. Now, most of the people who are new to outbound, what they like to do is they want to say like, hey, I want to find a specific companies that are in this revenue range, let's say between 1 to 2 million, or let's say between 100K to 1 million, and all this stuff. And although Apollo does provide a revenue filter, I would actually not use it, because even though, for example, we have public companies that report on their revenue, majority of private companies, like, I don't really trust their filter. I tried it several times, but I don't find it's accurate, because private companies don't report really on their revenue. And so feel free to play around with this, but honestly, I would not, would never use this. A better way to find basically companies in a specific revenue level is just think about, well, how many employees would they have to have in order to be in this revenue level? So let's say we want to, so here, in general, when we're reaching out to specific people, specific companies, specific businesses, we want to think about basically, okay, how many employees do they have, and what kind of revenue sign does it signal in that specific industry? And so let's say if we're talking about marketing agencies, we see that out of 232, basically half of that, more than half of that, is basically companies between 1 to 10 employees. And then we have 11 to 12 employees, there's like 13.2K. So let's say we select this and we can filter. And now we have a more realistic view. But there's also lots of companies who just start off, started their business. Maybe they create the LinkedIn page or whatever, but they're not actually operating. So if we want to target real companies, basically that are likely to be more established, but still, let's say in the 1 to 10 range. So what I would do is I would actually go to custom range. And here I would select minimum number of employees, let's say 3. 3 employees, and then maximum, let's say 3 to 10. Okay, and then we can expand this. Now we can see that out of 160 that we've seen originally in 1 to 10, there's only 64. So 100,000, basically 100,000 of people, basically 100,000 of companies, companies they were 1 to 2 employees. You know, they were just starting out. Whereas if we refine this range, we can see the ones that are real in business. Now, next, so here we narrowed this down. Here we have company location is United States. Then we have number of employees, which also signals our revenue level, industry, and keywords. Buying intent, it's something new they introduced. I would actually not use this. And this is something I can cover in a future video, like going over this. It sounds exciting, but in reality, it has only a very specific use case, and like there a lot of dominoes need to fall in a very specific case for it to be relevant. I would actually not use this when you're starting out. Website visitors, Apollo has its own pixels where you can install on your website to identify website visitors. However, I tried it. It's like, I didn't like it. Because again, it gives you company level identification. And what if you're reaching out to companies that have like hundreds or thousands of employees? Well, it doesn't give you anything. Like, hey, you get a Slack notification, someone from Google visited your website. You're like, cool, who? You know? So I would actually use more a tool like RB2B or Vector. Or something along those lines to get person level identification if you want to go that route, but that's not going to be covered in this video. So I will just avoid this two filters. This ones I'm going to cover later. Technologies. Technologies is actually pretty good. As far as I know, Apollo pulls their technology data from built with. However, when I tested comparing these things, built with data, when I just bought data from built with, and then I imported this into Apollo, I got much more results than, for example, technologies here. So, but if you don't want to pay for built with or you're just starting out, you can definitely do the technologies. Know that it's just going to be very limited here. Technology is mainly a filter that identifies a public HTML on the website. For example, if you installed a Google Pixel or a Facebook Pixel or Google Analytics 4, your website is built on Shopify or WordPress or whatever, it can identify. And so there's a limit here, but I would definitely look at built with if you want more data here. So for example, let's say I want to target technologies, let's say only agencies, only companies. Actually, we're not filtering by industry, by agencies. We're just companies in the marketing advertising industry that have, for example, Google Tag Manager. So let's see, we have 64.5. Then we have basically a third of those, almost a third of those, they have Google Tag Manager installed. And if they have Google Tag Manager installed, probably they are doing some kind of tracking. Cool. And then we can also check if they're on, I don't know, they use Gmail, all that stuff, you know, half of them use Gmail, etc. So technologies, I would not be starting off with technologies. If you're building one of your first lists, just ignore this for now. You can come back to this later. Revenue already talked. Funding. So funding data. Also, I tried funding leads that have, like, companies that have been founded in Apollo. As far as I know, they're using Crunchbase for this. However, again, as the technologies filter, it's pretty limited. And I would, like, you can try it out, but I wouldn't put much accuracy. It's not something I would start off. So if you're building your first list, just ignore this for now. You can try this out later, but I would recommend other sources like just Crunchbase, PitchBook, or something like this for this job posting. Also, for now, ignore. It's going to be more advanced video, scores, signals. Yeah, this one's just ignore. Owner, stage, account cuts. Ignore this ones for now. I don't want to spend a lot of time just explaining these things. Just trust me, you don't need them. In future videos, I'm going to cover, but if you're building your first list, cool. Now, what I like in Apollo, build up is, for example, if you have just a company name or company domain, better company domain, and you want to find, let's say, a specific company. So let's clear filters. Let's say I want to find, let's say I want to find, um, these are existing ones, but let's say you have a list of websites and it's just a list of websites, or maybe a list of websites or company names. You don't know how many employees they have. You don't know which industry they are. You don't know if they fit your ICP. You don't, or maybe you know all, that they fit your ICP, but you want to find people inside of those companies. So let's say if you have already a list of companies, then I would recommend using this thing. So for example, if I type in just saasgrowthagency.com, my website, let's see, save and search. If I type in my website, interesting, it didn't find growthagency.com. Cool. Now if I type in like this, let's see if it finds something. Ooh, okay, it's not accurate. Let's try my previous company name. So.com. Now it found it. Okay, so we have two results. Now, many Apollo finds basically the data from LinkedIn. As most data providers, they scrape their data mainly from LinkedIn. I'm sure they also have other sources, but essentially they find it there. So um, this work, like Apollo, works particularly well if you have companies that are more white collar, so to say. They are on LinkedIn. If you're looking for local businesses, there's a good chance you can find this. And again, I recommend trying out their free plan and just trying to find. If not, use like Google Maps, different Google Maps scrapers. D7 Lead Finder, I heard, is also good. But for any companies that are on LinkedIn, or at least registered on LinkedIn, and especially people here, I would definitely recommend Apollo. And then you can, for example, let's say you find a list of companies. Let's do, I don't know, clay.com, another tool we use, or let's say instantly. It also, why it pulled up on my previous business name, it's probably because some of the data hasn't been refreshed in a while. Although Apollo pulls in more data in, and it's literally the most renowned data source and the most trusted. Like, we use it as our first data source in practically like 90% of cases at this point. Some of the stuff, especially on smaller companies, it can be outdated. So instantly.ai, let's do million verifier. Let's try this once. Okay, better if you have a list of websites. Cool. So we have instantly, we have Clay, we have all this stuff, and then we can check the keywords, which I'm going to cover later. Per tools, million verifier. Cool. So this is good. So if you have a list of companies and you want to just enrich the company data, and especially then you can, do you want to find people in these companies? So let's say I do this, I save the search, and then I go to people. What's cool is the company filters, they would transfer. So here we can see that companies I want to find. So here it shows me 406 people that work in these companies here, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to go back to companies, and then Apollo also recently released this new thing, which is called like AI filters. I haven't tried market segments. I haven't tried this one, and I would definitely start this off start your search without the market segments, and then later on, once you're more familiar with Apollo, you can do this. Also, lookalikes, basically like the industry standard is more like Ocean.io or Panda Match, but Apollo is actually not that bad. So if let's do Instantly AI, and I select Instantly AI's lookalikes. Instantly AI is the cold email software we use. Let's check. Okay, so we have Quick Mail, Woodpecker, Groove, Clean Data, OddFunnel, Apollo, Sales Hub. Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty good, you know. Cool. So these are the company filters. Now, previously, I told that I would build a company search and I would find more specific companies. So let's actually get back to this. I'm going to create United States. Then number of employees, I'm going to do 3 to 10, what we did before. And now, let's say industry, we're building like a broad list. So marketing and advertising, okay? So here we have marketing and advertising. Now, these companies, typically where the industry comes from is how they define themselves on platforms, even like LinkedIn. When you create a LinkedIn page, it prompts you to select a specific category, and typically Apollo pulls from that. So here we have the account location, then we have number of employees, industry, and keywords. Now, it doesn't mean that these companies are agencies. So this is why I would recommend is you go to advanced settings, and first of all, you can select industries to exclude. I'm going to cover how later, but for example, here we can select all these things, include keywords. And if I select just agency, agency, or let's say I select, you see already it went from how many? 64.5K, and let's say I put in here marketing agency, 64.5K, and I put the keyword marketing agency. Let's see how many companies we have. 1.9K, and then we can add the keywords agency, we can add 6.8K, and then we can put some other keywords like services. I don't know. Okay, services is too broad. So this is how you narrow your list and identify the more specific ones. Now, let's say I want to target only agencies that are Google Ads. So I select PPC agency as a keyword. Why Google Ads? I used to run a Google Ads agency, just easier to find. So PPC agency, Google Ads agency. Google Ads. Well, that's management, all that stuff. So you can see, oh, the search expanded. So this is how I build narrow lists. And from the beginning, I recommend you build overall, it's better to build lists for your specific ICP instead of sending thousands of irrelevant messages. When you build your list, for example, only Google Ads agencies or Facebook Ads agencies, or only sales-led B2B SaaS companies, product-led B2B SaaS companies, e-commerce companies built on Shopify, whatever. It's like you can send more relevant messaging. And so the main reason why we hear, for example, cold email doesn't work or LinkedIn outreach doesn't work, well, because people blast generic messages to all people, which of course, like how would you respond if you receive this kind of messages? However, if someone made you a very specific message for your specific situation that you care about, let's say you're dealing with compliance issues right now in your run a startup and you just got issues with compliance and someone sends you a timely email regarding this, well, how would you react? You'd probably be like, oh, damn, they did some research on me and they offer the exact solution I need. I'm going to respond. That's what makes it work. So keep this in mind. Now, how do you refine your search? So before we dive into the people tab, I want to show you something important here. So let's say we selected location, we select number of employees, we selected industry and keywords, but we still want several thousand people at least. Don't build lists for just like 100 people, several thousand at least. And we want to see how can we find the best companies. How can we find the companies that are, let's say we really want to target advertising agencies? So here you can see Apollo has not just the industries, but the keywords someone mentioned. And then if you click here, you can see advertising services, marketing, and advertising. If you click on, like, you can also check their websites. So let's say, let me go. We have market research agencies, marketing services, community manager. Let's do advertising services. We want to target advertising agencies, for example. Advertising services, we go here. We have 50K people, like companies in the advertising services space. Now, let's check if they actually fit our ICP, our target customers that want to reach out to. And again, don't worry, agencies is just a simple example. I'm going to show you some more advanced examples in a bit. So here, this is their LinkedIn page where we can check, but typically just better check the website. So here we can see advertising service, boom. In some cases, you can find a link to the website, but typically visit websites. Now, in this case, for example, Apollo did not scrape that they have a website. It did not output it here, only the LinkedIn page, but you can find it like this. You can check other ones, etc. Now, in general, we want to just go through the websites, and when we build our search, want to make sure that this is exactly who we are targeting. So just visit the websites and check, okay, is this my target client? And so we know pharmaceutical sales reps ready to make an impact. Who we are, Salesforce, behavioral analytics, our services. Cool. It doesn't look like the advertising agency that, for example, runs ads for them or like manages SEO. So it's a more advanced specific service. Again, the website doesn't work. Are you looking for a dentist to scale? Are you a dentist looking to scale a company? T-sexual and patient, dental implants, and da-da-da-da. Why choose us? Patients. So this is a dental marketing agency. What our clients say, boom. So this looks like a marketing agency. Ladybugs, weird website. Paid ads, creative design. Okay, so this is a marketing agency, social strategy 1. This, choose the best contact detail finder. This is actually a B2B SaaS company. So in this case, we know that this one and this one are advertising agencies, but this one is a B2B SaaS company. So here we look at the keywords. Here, for example, we see marketing automation, dental marketing, appointment setting, practice suspension. Let me see. Practice growth, like this is dental specific. Patient data. You want to like check this and see which one of the keywords gives you the best results, meaning the most qualified leads, the most amount of qualified leads without narrowing your results too much. So here, for example, advertising and marketing service. If you want to find specific ones that are looking for marketing support is also fine. If you want to find digital advertising is pretty broad. If you want to find a marketing agency for dental marketing, you would just type in dental marketing. Now here, social strategy, paid search, paid social, SEO, all the services. Now, here's the important part. We see that Datagma, which is a B2B SaaS company, actually has different thing. It has the keywords SaaS, data, API here. And so let's exclude the keywords. Also include the keywords if we do. I recommend actually using include all if you have multiple keywords. So let's say advertising services. Advertising services, and then we want to exclude, so we have 50K, and then we want to exclude SaaS, want to exclude API. What else? CRM, all that kind of stuff. And so here already went from 50K to 45K companies. Advertising services, social media, and this is how you would go and narrow your search to only the specific ICPs, basically the specific companies you want to target, target clients, so to say. Cool. So we covered basically how to find the companies. Now, how do we find the people in these companies? Very simple. So once you build your companies list, and I recommend you start your basically your search from companies list until you find it, and then what you do, you would click and save this as a new search so you can easily access this later. Don't just leave because the filters would not get saved. Build your search and then click on save new search so you can access this later from the view. I'm not going to open it because I have like hundreds of this probably that we built for clients. But yeah, this is what you would do. Next, after you say build your companies list, and then you saved your search, you would go to people and then look at this. The filters would get saved here. So we see company locations, US, employees 3 to 10. We have advertising services, company keywords contain any of. This is company keywords contain all. I want to remove this. The difference between any of and all is like the companies need to contain all of this. Include, it can just include multiple keywords and kind of stack them together. As you can see, the company things, they get pre-saved. We just get access to a couple of additional filters right here. And so in terms of the filters, we want to find, let's say, just very simply, we want to find, we go to job titles, and here we want to find, let's say, founders, and there's marketing agents. So I go into CEO, just type in CEO and founder, CEO, what else? Co-founder. Now look at how the search changes when we do this. Also, there's a thing what's called include people with similar titles. Apple looks at their keywords and tries to identify people with similar titles. So we can remove that, and then we would narrow search only to the very specific roles. Now in this case, it's kind of the same because we're only targeting founder, CEO. But when you build other roles, like for example, CMOs, director of marketing, customer experience, customer support, all that stuff, you want to be careful with this. Also, you want to exclude certain things, but you can exclude certain roles. I'm going to show you an example of this in a bit. And then we have also management level, where you can target by this, and departments and job functions. I would be actually super careful with this too, because they would narrow your search. It's another filter. It's not the same. What we use most of the time is for maximum results, you would just use the job titles. And for example, if you have a very specific criteria that you want to use, if let's say you're targeting bigger companies, bigger enterprises, and you, let's say, want to target marketing managers, CMOs, directors of marketing, customer experience, but not customer support, not developers, not assistants, like you would put this into the exclude. And then let's say you want to make your search bigger, you can actually go to ChatGPT and ask it to give you a list of job titles in the companies between, for example, 3 to 10 employees in the US that are doing this specific roles. So you can do that. Cool. Now, no, here, well, you get an additional filter in the location that is called people search. So if you, before we just targeted companies that are in the US. Now we can target people, also people that are in the US in this company. So here we see that the search went from 10K to 8K, like 8.8K when we use this. And lastly, the main things, we have a couple of new filters here. The main one you want to use on the people thing is email status. I recommend going with verified only first. Then as you build more of your list, you can also use unverified and user manage and use another tool basically to validate those emails here. So it can give you like a bit of a boost in terms of number of people you can reach out to. So here, keep in mind, even if you select verified, it doesn't mean the emails are fully verified. We actually recommend, after you get the Apollo data, to run it through a verification tool. And we typically find, depending on the list, like depending on the industry and the list we are targeting, somewhere between, it can be 3%, it can be 5%, it can be 10%, it can even be 20% in some industries, that these things are not actually verified. So this is how you build like a simple lead list in Apollo. I don't know if you were starting out how simple it was for you, but this is one of the basics. I just wanted to go more in detail. When you actually build this and you do it like a couple of times, it becomes simpler. Now, let's talk about how can we build a more advanced lead list in Apollo, where, for example, we're not just targeting marketing agencies, but we're targeting people that are harder to find, let's say, and we're targeting a different industry. One thing I forgot to mention is actually that in terms of saving people, so let's say I have all these people, by default, when you're on the free plan, and I believe Apollo, like they have several plans, the basic plan, you can select only 25 records at a time, I believe. Let me check. Select 1,000 records at a time. And then here you can select, yeah, just 25 records at a time, I believe. Records, yeah, basic plan. So what I recommend you do is basically once you already start played around with the ball on the free plan, I would just upgrade to professional. Like this is what we use, and I've been using it for years, because you can select like 1,000 records at a time. Otherwise, you would have to basically select the 25 records and then 25 records, and it's very annoying. So for example, here, you would have to, let's say, select all of this people, and then save them to a specific list, so you can download them later. But here I can just like select all the ones here, like 1,000, you know, and I can download them. It's just an Apollo limitation, but this is how it works. What's interesting though is that Apollo says that you get unlimited credits. They're not actually unlimited email credits. Like we get how much, like 10K a month, and I believe they recently sent a pricing update that they will be updating this to. They will be making some changes to their pricing structure, and then you'll be getting like 8,000 credits, I believe. But in any case, what's interesting, they charge for email validation here. So when you find people, but companies, many people don't know this. For companies, they don't charge you anything, so you can save companies to like lists. Let's say if I try to select 10,000. Yeah, it's capped at 1,000 because of the plan. Otherwise, you would have to go 25 at the time, and that's really annoying. Trust me, I tried this. But what's good is when you save companies to a list, for example, it doesn't cost you any credits. So you can save companies. You can then check if the companies are really your target customers, and then you can basically use the list function. You can later on the people tab to only find people from this saved companies that already checked that you match your ICP. I'm not gonna do it right now because I have like many lists, but you can check. You can create people lists, you can create company lists, all of that stuff. Cool. Now let's get the exciting part. Let's go and build a more, like I'm going to show you how more advanced lists look like. So first, I'm going to start with a list of, for example, B2B SaaS companies. This list I use to reach out to B2B SaaS companies. And as you can see, for example, I'm still reaching out to founder CEO. I'm excluding previous contact lists that I already saved to those contacts, you know? So I'm not paying for the same data again. I can also create a list basically of all the companies that I already checked to find more people in these companies, but I'm not going to do it because I want to find also new ones, have the locations. But here's the keywords. Look at this. I have the keywords, company keywords, Muse, include these keywords, and then exclude all the events, coaching, consulting, studio, VC, private equity, all that stuff. That investors, incubator, like all the stuff that are not B2B SaaS companies. And even though it's a much more refined list than I've seen of B2B SaaS Apollo filters that I've seen anywhere, still, when after this, I use basically AI identification to I use Claygen, basically another tool, which I'm going to cover in a separate video, to go through the companies and identify whether they are actually a B2B SaaS company or not. There's still quite a few IT companies. There's still quite a few unclear companies because they don't have a filter in the industry that it has to be B2B, that it's a software company. To find software companies, you have to use the industries that they list themselves, for example, on LinkedIn, which is internet, computer software, informational technology, and services. There is no SaaS industry. And also, a lot of the time, SaaS companies, if they don't list themselves under this industries, they list themselves under, for example, if it's a real estate SaaS, they list themselves on LinkedIn as in the category real estate, which makes it really confusing. If they're, I don't know, manufacturing SaaS, they list themselves as a manufacturing in the manufacturing industry. It makes it really confusing. So we need to go through this and then use some advanced filtering to find those people. So this is something, for example, I experiment on, and if you're targeting SaaS companies, feel free to again get started with this, because my initial lists were not as good, So this would shortcut the process for you. But yeah, it's just a process. You need to experiment with the right things, review the company keywords, and go over this. Now, another big area, for example, where another big market that companies want to target is actually e-commerce companies. And here, for example, is an example of a search I built for a client that's targeting D2C e-commerce here. Now, previously we excluded the list, so I'm just not going to show this, but here you can see the job titles. We have 44 job titles. We can see founder, CEO, director, CMO, marketing, sales, operations, growth, partnerships. They need to include some of the keywords, and then we exclude HR, CFO, financial, talent, creative, B2B, because we don't want B2B, IT, we exclude all these people. And here I actually use the management level, but I experiment with this quite a bit, So you would need to go through this and again, review the company keywords, review the prospects you're targeting, and build this kind of list. Another thing is, for example, the industry was selected as apparel and fashion, but here there's I built a list of keywords that e-commerce companies like you to have, because even if it's apparel and fashion, it doesn't mean it's going to be an e-commerce company. And Apollo AI filters, which we see here, the new ones, market segments, I haven't much tested this, but from what I heard, it's also not 100% accurate. It's, as you can see, it's beta. So yeah, it's a process you need to go through. And whenever you create your ICP, let's say you want to sell your product or service, start with the company first. Build out what I showed you here, the company locations, number of employees, the keywords, all that stuff. Check the company websites, make sure they fit your ICP, make sure there are at least several thousand of these companies that fit your criteria, and then go to people and find the roles of these people and basically make sure the status is verified. So then what you can do is you select, let's say, you select net new, the ones that you haven't saved yet, so you don't overpay. Another hack is the saved ones. You can actually select more than 1,000, even if you're in this plan, because they're already saved. But here, select net new. Let's say I select, let's do like 1,000. 100 doesn't matter. So here you would click on add to list and you would name your list. So for example, e-commerce founders or e-commerce CMOs 1 to 10, So then you can go to the list and you can export this. And that way you'll have a list of prospects that you can reach out to. This way, relevant list of prospects. And I know there's an export button here, but I always recommend save to list first, and then only then you export them. And then before you actually upload and start sending cold emails to them, and again, if you use Apollo for cold email, cool, you can try, it's included in your plan, but we don't use it because Instantly, for example, is just a much better software where we can use like A/B testing features. We can use, it's just much better. I'm going to cover this in a separate video, but in any case, where most people go wrong is they connect either to Apollo or to Instantly or Smartly to whatever cold email software you use. Is they just get the list and they enroll it right away. No. Even if it says verified, we want to double verify. So use tools like Million Verifier or an alternative, Never Bounce, whatever, to, again, protect your email reputation. Otherwise, we're going to get high bounce rates and essentially your emails, your regular emails would not get delivered. So again, after you go and you get the list from Apollo, run it through Million Verifier and only send basically to valid emails, or you can also experiment with catch-alls, but valid emails goes first. Cool. That's pretty much it. That is how you build lists in Apollo. By the way, if you didn't know, when you build people lists, you also get access to people's LinkedIn. So I recommend not just enrolling them into cold email campaigns, but also sending them basically LinkedIn messages, outreach on LinkedIn. And again, you can use software for it to automate the whole process safely. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It went longer than I expected, but hopefully right now you have an idea on how to build high quality lead lists, basically on Apollo, for many different use cases, for a broad market, simple list, and more advanced lists where you go after very specific people that are harder to find or companies that are harder to find. And now you can use it for your own use case. Build your company list, build your people list. And once it's built and once your search is saved, you can just export new leads and upload them. It requires some time to build in the beginning, but then once it's built, you can just reuse it more and more again. So this way, you don't have to just run generic searches of everyone that with the title founder in this specific in just the marketing space or the internet space, and get 80% of your leads are just unqualified. It's just a different company. So I would definitely recommend using the keywords, exclusions, like the number of employees filter. So then you can you can spend credits, Apollo credits, wisely on people that are actually your target customers, so not just some random people that happen to place the wrong industry, into their LinkedIn profile. So that's pretty much it. Hope you got some value out of this. Build your list. Let me know how it goes. If you have any questions or comments, just drop them below or drop me a message on LinkedIn. And if you haven't watched our go-to-market strategy on how to basically leverage like the lists you've built to effectively reach out to your target customers on cold email, on LinkedIn, and make sure to generate, like, to write effective copy that generates interested responses and convert them into demo meetings. I highly recommend you watch that video. I'll link it somewhere here. And lastly, if you want me and my team to help you build lists, to help you set up your outreach systems, then just basically book a call, and I'll leave a link to it below. We'll have a chat. We'll see if we can help you, and if so, I'm going to explain how exactly we're going to do it for you. That's pretty much it. Hope you got some value out of this, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.